brother Dr. Qureshi Saab, Ranjana Kumari ji, Kamal Agasi, members of the India Islamic Center, other friends from In Dialogue Foundation, ladies and gentlemen, Namaste, Salam Alaikum. We have assembled here to pay homage to and to celebrate the life of one of the great teachers of humanity, who passed away on 20th October this year. He is Hoja Effendi Fethullah Gulen. Hoja Effendi means master teacher, Mahaguru. Gulen was indeed a guru to the world, one of the most enlightened scholars of Sufi Islam in our time. He believed in and he practiced and propagated dialogue for education, dialogue for tolerance, dialogue for mutual respect, and dialogue for peace. And as we just saw in this film, he inspired tens of thousands of volunteers, committed, dedicated, selfless volunteers, to not just preach these ideals, but actually to practice in many corners of the world. I had the good fortune of having his darshan in September 2018 at his ashram in Pennsylvania. I call it ashram. He called it spiritual retreat. It comes to the same thing. After my return, I wrote an article and scroll, which is, as many of you know, very good digital platform, news and views platform. I titled it When I Met a Gandhian Jihadi in America. Gandhian Jihadi in America. Fethullah Gulen, a self-exiled Turkish scholar, was using his movement to propagate greater jihad, a very important principle, concept in Islam, but also one of the most misunderstood concepts in Islam. Jihad in its true sense means self-purification, self-improvement, self-transformation. Although jihad, many non-Muslims associate jihad with all kinds of things, love jihad, and we know all that's happening in our own country, unfortunately. And similarly, many people who call themselves Muslims, by jihad, they understand and they practice violence, coercion, jihad of the sword, or jihad of the bombs. When I met Gulen, the first thing I noticed was the aura of calmness, divine calmness, on his face and also in every part of the ashram. His head was covered by the Islamic skull cap, because the only crown he recognizes is that of the all-powerful Allah. He was then 81 and he looked frail, and the frailty accentuated by a fever he was running. The previous day, our appointment had been cancelled because of his high fever. I thought my meeting would not materialize. I returned that day, but instead he granted me an audience the following day. I was told by his associates, even though Hoja Effendi is unwell, he wants to meet you. So we were led to a large prayer hall, which, though full of devotees, was tranquil. It was a picture of serenity. Being the only non-Muslim amongst them, I sat in a far corner. But as Gulen walked into the hall, he spotted me and signaled with his hands to sit next to him. He then led the Islamic prayer, which was long and interspersed with deep spells of meditative silence. After the prayer, I was led to another hall, where Gulen received his visitors. Welcoming me with a warm handshake, he surprised me again, asking me to sit in his own chair. He himself took a less prominent chair and, with the help of a translator, said that he was very happy to receive a friend from India. He praised India as a land that cradled an ancient and rich civilization, and one that became home to many people of many religions coexisting peacefully. I said, "Thank you, Your Holiness, for giving me this rare honor to meet you. In spite of the doctor's advice to take rest, I have come here as a devout Hindu and a self-appointed representative of all the people in India who believe in the noble values you cherish. Above all, the value of dialogue, mutual understanding for peace in the world." I then told him about my passionate conviction and my activities aimed at promoting Hindu-Muslim harmonization on the one hand and India-Pakistan normalization on the other, the two being interrelated parts of a common historical agenda. When he heard the word Pakistan, the look in his face grew more intense. I therefore briefly explained the nature of the problem between our two countries. The wars we have fought, the fruitless search for a just and humane solution to the Kashmir issue, the bloodshed due to terrorism and other types of violence, the shameful reality of poverty and socio-economic disparity in both countries, and the imperative need to find a lasting solution for peace and development in all of South Asia. Listen to me, listened to me and said, "I pray for peace between India and Pakistan. Indeed, the entire world is restless for peace." At this point, I presented to him my book on Mahatma Gandhi and said, Gandhi was a pious Hindu, but he had the highest regard for Islam and Prophet Muhammad. He sacrificed his life for Hindu-Muslim unity. Gulen remarked that he had great respect for Gandhi and his philosophy of non-violence. He said, "It strongly resonates with Islam's message of peace, mercy, and universal brotherhood." Gandhi's life, especially his insistence on peaceful resolution of conflicts and his efforts to build bridges between Muslims and Hindus, has had a deep influence on me, he said. I then made an appeal. Your Holiness, 2019-20 marks Mahatma Gandhi's 150th birth anniversary. May I request you to send a commemorative message to Indians on this occasion? He agreed. He sent a very heartfelt message on Gandhi Jayanti, which I reproduced in my article. It was truly a memorable day for me. Dear friends, my acquaintance with Fethullah Gulen had begun in the early 2000s. I was in the BJP then. I started reading books and articles by him. My respect for him had stemmed from his stern and unambiguous denunciation of Osama bin Laden and his army of terrorists. This prompted me to write an article in the Times of India in 2005. It was titled "An Islamic Voice of Reason and Reform in America, because by that time Gulen had gone to America as in exile, self-imposed exile. I said here was an influential Islamic preacher who had called Bin Laden a monster. Gulen said in one of his articles that Bin Laden has sullied the bright face of Islam. The reparation for the damage he has caused requires years of work. Substituting the Islamic cause for his own cravings, he is committing monstrous acts. My article praised Gulen as a strong advocate of interfaith harmony and as a firm believer in the reconciliability of Islam and secularism, understood in the Indian sense of Sarvapanthi Samabhav, or equal respect for all faiths, and not as practiced by Kemal Atatürk, which we saw in the film. The founder of modern Turkey, who tried to banish religion from both state and society. Religion, according to Gulen, is a road that brings everyone together in brotherhood. Regardless of how adherents of different religions follow their faith in their daily lives, all religions exalt life-sustaining values such as peace, love, tolerance, forgiveness, compassion, human rights, and justice. Most of these values, Gulen affirmed, are accorded the highest precedence in the messages brought by Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, as well as the messages of Buddha, Ibn Zarathustra, Lao Tzu, Confucius, and Hindu prophets. These are Fethullah Gulen's words. As a Muslim, I accept all prophets and books sent to different peoples throughout history and regard belief in them as an essential principle of being Muslim. Gulen condemned terrorists carrying out barbaric acts in the name of Islam because of his conviction that evil means cannot justify seemingly noble religious ends. A Muslim cannot say, I will kill a person and then go to heaven. Around the same time, I came in close contact with many volunteers of the Hizmet movement in India. Hizmet, as we saw in the film, means service or seva. It is the Hizmet movement inspired by Gulen was and continues to be one of the largest seva movements in the world. Especially what they are doing in the field of education, friends, is almost unparalleled. I've seen their work in India, in America, in Africa. Gulen said in his book, Toward a Global Civilization of Love and Tolerance, education through learning and leading a commendable way of life is a sublime duty. By fulfilling this, we are able to attain the rank of true humanity and to become a beneficial element of humanity. And we saw in the film how in the most difficult circumstances, in war zones, in conflict areas, the volunteers of Hizmet movement have been going and doing truly religious service of God and service of humanity. It's truly unfortunate that such a great person was abandoned by sections of his own people in Turkey. But what is happening in Turkey, the people who banished him into exile, who are persecuting Hizmet volunteers in thousands, they will have to pay for their crimes. I believe that it is the responsibility of Indian society and the Indian government also to raise our voice of condemnation, of persecution of recent years the followers of Gulen. It is rather sad, friends, that we in India do not know much about a great guru that Fethullah Gulen was. And it is for this reason that I greatly commend the work of In Dialogue Foundation, the work of people like Rezar and his other colleagues, the importance of this work, the importance of dialogue, the importance of peace building has become evident to us. Its urgency is becoming more and more acute because of what's happening in India, what's happening in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, in Gaza, and right now, once again, terrorism in Syria. There are people in this world who believe in dominance, in hegemony, in again and again using the language of violence. This must be countered with the language of love. The title of this film, Love is a Verb, is so evocative. Love is not a noun. Love is a verb. Religion is not a noun. Religion is a verb. Gandhiji used to say that non-violence, ahimsa, is also a verb. And love is the active form of non-violence. Love is the active form of non-violence. The more we love, the less violence there will be. So with this, I pay my own personal homage to this great Guru. Thank you, Bezat, for inviting me. Let's have more such events in other parts of India. I come from Bombay. My friend Vajiuddin Saab is here. He's a prominent journalist from Bombay. We're just talking that we should have a similar event in our city. And we invite you, Bezat Bhai, we invite others. Let's make more and more people in India aware of the great work, the great life of Hoja Effendi, Fethullah Gulen. Thank you very much.